exploit of the rootkit, when I run that, it goes into the log files. It goes into what's the word I'm looking for? It's escaping me. When you go into the informational messages and all that about connections and everything, and it looks for its own footprint, and anything that it finds, whether it's created it or not, that matches that footprint, it wipes it. And because you've rooted the box, you have access. It's the SAM files, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have access. So there's no, those files are protected, right? Not if you've rooted the box. It will go in. It'll find that fingerprint wherever it is. And this is HXDEF. There's a bunch of different. There's dozens of different rootkits. All of them operate a little bit differently. This is purely for illustration purposes. That's a very good question.
And it won't even leave like a trace of the process itself. So when you pull up, like say for example, a Process Explorer by sys internals,
right? Because
you've
really not done anything that's going to spike processing, right? Because this is, your processing requirements for mapping a drive and for running these executable files is so low that you probably wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah, but the task manager is not the ideal thing to pull up and look for the
right.
processes.
Right. Yeah. You want to go into performance monitor. And, or if you've got some external tools.
Process explorers.
Sure.
They look up there and then.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Point is if it is in a file on this box, the rootkit will look for the fingerprint of a log file that has anything to do with this, and it will seek it out and try to open that file and remove those log entries for whatever reason. Right? And like I said, this is just one. Then there's several of these, and the point here is not really to get into the anatomy of an actual rootkit, but just to illustrate, how easy it is.
And neither in that netstat command will it show that there has been ever a connection that has been established between your machine and the.
Not very likely. I'm not. Honestly, with this particular kit, I don't know if that would be the case. That would be another place to look. Active connections and so forth. Sure. Yeah, that would certainly be another place to look. Excellent points, by the way. Yeah, so does this scare you a little bit? Most of my corporate customers are peeing in their pants about right now. Can I say that on TV? It doesn't really matter. Anyway, so the mitigation purposes, right? What could this customer have done to try to stop this? The exploit that we ran against this box, there had been a patch out for that exploit for about 6 months. So keeping the systems patched. And there was no way that the customer was not looking at their systems on a regular basis. There was no process in place for keeping those systems up to date and knowing even what patches were applied. Systems management team did not detect a machine was missing, the patch, right, operational, and then the strategy. Existing efforts to manage patches or detect vulnerable systems, right? They're not doing constant scans. They're not constantly testing and retesting to find where their vulnerabilities might be. All right, questions on that one? Excellent points, by the way. Good. Okay, so wireless, right? So we're going to, when you think about wireless security, and anybody jump in, what do you think about what are you protecting? What do you need to protect? What? You guys are live.
Unauthorized access to your wireless network.
Okay, why do you care?
Using bandwidth,
right.
Doing something legal through your network.
Theft of service? Okay. The answers are up here. Right. Wired network compromise, right? If you've got devices actually connected to the network that may have critical data, right? That's generally what most people think of when they think of a wireless compromise. The wireless network compromise, theft of service, right? Wired network abuse, using a wireless connection to get into your network to set up a botnet, to be able to use that, any of your compromised devices to send out spam or whatever it is that they want to do, host pictures of things that would otherwise get them in very bad trouble, right? Those kind of things. Interception of traffic, stealing email, stealing, what could be critical secrets for a company, the Christie cookies recipe, which Probably isn't any better reference now than it was 10 minutes ago. And hotspot hijinks. If you go into a Kinko's, you have Kinko's, right? All right, so if you go into a Kinko's and you open up your laptop with your wireless connection and it tries to connect, what do you get? You get a splash page, and chances are it's T-Mobile, right? Because there's a very large contract that I lost in there. But there's a T-Mobile hotspot. How do you know that what you're actually seeing is a T-Mobile? How do you know that there's not a backpack sitting over there with a hotter transmitter in it than the access point that actually connects to the T-Mobile network? So what they're going to do, they're going to simply write a web page that looks just like the other one. You're going to put in all of your nice little information with your credit card. They're going to take that information, they're going to script it, and they're going to send it on to the actual T-Mobile. Eventually you'll get connected. Something that you can probably measure in delay, but you probably wouldn't notice as a consumer because it's a public access network, right? So now I have all your personal information, right? Wireless hotspots. Next time you walk into a Starbucks or some of these places that have wireless hotspots, think about the information that you're sending over the top of your cup of coffee. So the countermeasures for this. WEP is completely dead. Probably not something that you want to use. You're smirking like you know about WEP? Okay, good. Oh, this will be really boring to you. Take a nap for a few minutes. Closed network access control, MAC address filtering, not very wise from an administrative standpoint. Leap from Cisco is dead. If you're using Leap, stop. It was great until, I guess it was a year or so ago, maybe it hasn't been quite that long, when the algorithms for Leap were released to the public. So now there are tools out there that can crack Leap just that fast. WPA and 802.11i are probably where you want to be right now. Okay, we'll talk about some of those things. So web cracking, more efficient methods available. I mean, it's just simply collecting a few encrypted packets, using a tool to replay those packets, and then quickly finding the response traffic. And basically what you do with a web crack is very similar to a man-in-the-middle attack. And that's kind of what I'm going to show you here. So here's our client. There's our access point. Here come the encrypted requests. Here come the encrypted responses. Seems pretty secure, right? Well, if I'm sitting right in the middle of that and I can take those encrypted requests and I can establish enough of those encryptions that I can use my web cracker to de-encrypt those, if you will, then I can take the forged request and I can create responses from that and take over that session, right? So we go back out to the internet and we find Kismet and Aircrack are probably the most popular. So we do an arrow dump and we find this ESS ID. Now, one of the things that people do normally when they bring in a wireless network is they immediately disable the broadcast of an ESS ID. Very smart. Great thing to do. So if I open up my laptop, it's not automatically going to see that because it's not being broadcast. Seems logical, right? Well, if I simply have one of these tools, I find the channel where it is, and I begin to collect the packets. Now, if I can crack the key, I can find the ESS ID. Or if I simply shoot ESS ID requests at it, the ID is going to come back to me in plain text. It's very, very simple. Okay, so saving relayed packets into the capture. Going to play those packets back. Yes, we're going to replay those packets. Let it do it automatically. So now that I have this in my capture, I can run the air crack. So all it's going to do, it's going to take the series of packets that I took, listen to those packets, play it through the air crack, find the encryption, break the encryption, and hand me back the key. Now I own your wireless network. How long did this take? Minutes? Realistically, it would probably take me about 30 minutes maybe. If I